This is a certified hood classic.
Arby's, we have the meats.
I've got balls of steel.
We better be in Detroit today, or that song makes no sense whatsoever.
Good to see you, Creed. Yeah, all Detroit today. Everything we're watching on We Got a Case is Detroit matters.
Listen, if I ever move to Detroit, Flusher, that'll be the first thing I do.
Lay back and say, "Tap me up, bro."
That's right, bro. Welcome to We Got a Case. Yes, I like this Detroit edition. All right. I'm down
Yeah,
with
it's something
that.
we really. It's really one we don't go to that much, but there's so much there. Why ignore it? Why not embrace our brothers in Michigan and say, "Hey, look, we see you.
Let's do
We
it.
see you."
Case, and then 100,000 on the home invasion. What else is on that?
Home invasion.
Judge, on the DV, I have 10,000, 10%.
10,000, 10, and 100,000 in the second case. Correct,
That's right.
Mr. Reagan. Go.
Judge, ready?
Yep.
Okay, Judge. I guess I want to focus on the home invasion case, Your Honor, because my client.
Hold on. Let's start with the other case where he.
Oh, the DV.
Yeah, he allegedly she's watching TV with a neighbor, and wanted her to go into the basement and
What?
smacking her up on the porch and choking her. And all that. Let's start with that one.
Oh,
Okay, that is-
okay, you blaming me for that? I didn't do that.
Creed had nothing to do with that. I can verify he was not there at the time when this lady was watching television with her neighbor.
Courtney,
We had our own house, by the way.
gross.
Courtney, you pregnant?
Ugh.
That's the point from August 2023.
Weirdo.
Yes. August 20. Yes.
That's the misdemeanor DV, Judge. Judge, that's a misdemeanor case from August of 2023. It was not entered as a complaint, or it wasn't signed until January 11th of 2024, Judge. Don't know why, but whatever, regardless, wasn't entered. I guess he was living there. He was living at the house. They were back together. I don't know what happened, if it's a misdemeanor, what happened. He's going to plead not guilty. Well, he has pled not guilty, saying that's not the case with that. He works every day, has 2 kids, and we're going to fight that case. The bond is $100 on that. So we're not really whining too much about that case, Judge. I want to focus on the other case.
I thought it was 10,000, 10%.
I have 1,000, 10%.
No.
I have 10,000.
Oh,
It's
see, and that's since somebody can't write on my paperwork. I mean, that's not right. So Judge, I'm asking for 1,000, 10%. I mean, because that's what I had. I wasn't going to argue that. I was going to say, okay, that bond was good. I have 1K, 10%. 1K means 1,000 in my mind, but it's really 10.
Yep. Well, let's get to the 100,000 right now.
100,000. Says he lives there, Judge. Home invasion. I don't know why. Mail there, address, been living there, But what was interesting, Judge, I read this write-up, and I've never seen this like this before. I've never seen anything like this, where somebody leaves out of a house. They leave the house and they go to the neighbor's house.
Prodigy.
And they knock on the neighbor's door, and then they jump through the neighbor's window inside the house.
Wow.
Get in the house. I've never seen that before. Usually I see it the other way around, people jumping to get out the house. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. I know she had 5 stitches according to the report.
Well, if she's got stitches, does that mean she jumped through? They jumped through a window that wasn't open, maybe?
I don't know. Weren't we just talking about her watching TV at the neighbor's house a second ago?
I thought so.
Or did he jump in the window to get at her?
I don't think he's smoking, is he? God, that'd be.
He
so
had something in his hand that looked really phallic for a second. I wasn't sure what it is, but I'm sure it was just like, camera trickery.
Ew.
I'm not a fan of grapefruit. It's too bitter.
People eat grapefruit for breakfast. I'll never ever
That's
understand.
rich folks, Creed.
Oh, is
They even
that-
got a special spoon for that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
April
So
doing
you know,
well. Thank you.
I'm not sure, but I obviously once, when you read stuff like that, it makes you think, Judge, and then generally once you get to the exam, you see what really happened, and then it all comes out, really in a different light. But right now, that's all we have right now. I'm, obviously going to ask for reduction because he does live there, not going to get home invasion, may get the GBH or the misdemeanor DV. I don't know, but the home invasion, I don't think that may stick because he says he lives there, has keys, all that stuff. So I'm going to ask, for a reduction in bond to 100,000 personal GPS tether. He works from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Sunday. I'm going to ask that he be allowed to go out to work on a tether and be monitored, not have no contact. Can't go back to
Every day of the week he works
because the allegations are
7 days a week, I guess. Gary, thank you for the 2 bones.
Gary.
Yeah, like he said, usually they're jumping out of windows, not into them.
Judge, I actually had the prosecutor on this case as well as the OIC reach out to me. I think there were more issues on Mr. Reagan's paper that he couldn't decipher than just the bond. In this particular matter, Judge, in that DV, and I'll just touch on it. Your Honor said it correctly. She was punched in the face multiple times, and then when the police ended up coming out, there was a visible lump on her head. There was a backlog to this complaint, Judge. This is what the APA ended up describing to me. We had visible injury in the domestic violence case. I'm just going to touch on this before I get to the other case. The police have been called on this defendant by this witness 12 times.
12 times?
Jesus. Donovan, thank you.
Behavior, as well as his assaults. I ended up printing out that call log by the DPD. I can give that to Your Honor. In this particular matter, I also want to point out to Your Honor that she ended up jumping through that window. She wasn't on drugs. She wasn't on any drugs. The reason why she ended up jumping through the window was, and I think defense counsel as well as Your Honor can see, she was scared and in fear of her life. And that she felt was the only way to try to get away from this defendant. Judge, we have a situation in this particular instance where this defendant repeatedly, after he came to the complainant's house, threatened to kill her. We have repeatedly in this incident, actually 3 different episodes of alleged strangling. We have repeatedly this defendant punching the complaining witness. And all prior to that, he ended up busting the front door out. So I guess that goes the whole idea that he had a key and he was living there. If he bust through the front door in order to get into this gal.
Good point.
Judge. And then we have a situation here, Judge. This complaining witness is in fear of her life, but also we have a complaining witness that reached out to the people. This defendant has repeatedly attempted to try to contact the complaining witness from jail. Which is a problem in and of itself. But I think it shows the desperateness of this defendant. Judge, we have a defendant who's already pled guilty to a have-forth notice. He has prior home invasion convictions. He has prior firearm convictions. And ironically, Judge, if you noticed in both of these incidents, he ended up fleeing after both assaults in his vehicle. He doesn't even have a license. It's been suspended for years. Judge, the complaining witness is in fear. I can't stress that enough. There aren't too many instances where I talk to the assigning prosecutor or the OIC, but they both stressed upon the fact that this complaining witness is in absolute fear for her life, and she feels as though if this defendant is released, that she's going to die. Not just based on the threats, but just based on the history of this defendant. So respectfully, Judge, we're going to ask at the very least for the continuation of the 100,000 cash where he's charged with the home invasion. And respectfully, Judge, we're going to ask for a continuation of that DV 10,000, 10%.
Court haven't heard the arguments of counsel. Court finds that the 10,000, 10%, and the $100,000 cash bonds are unaffordable bonds. The court finds in order to keep an unaffordable bond, there has to be a showing that the defendant poses a danger to the complaining witness, the community, or is a flight risk by clear and convincing evidence standard. Court finds that the defendant poses a danger to the complaining witness. The court is going to continue the 10,000, 10% on the DV case.
Okay.
As to the 100,000, the 100,000 cash case, that will be reduced to 100,000, 10%, with GPS tether, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, and no contact with the complaining witness or that address. Thank you.
Thank you, Honor.
So that's interesting what he was just talking about the affordable bond.
That is such a big thing these days. Is that an affordable bond? And if they say no, it's not, and they go and they lower it. And I always thought that the bond being unaffordable was the way to keep that ass in jail. Since when is it? We're watching out for the ne'er-do-wells and the assaulters now.
I mean, he just stood there and he went on for what seemingly was 20 minutes talking about how bad of all the convictions. And
I like that Mr. Reagan down there was like, man, he lived there. I ain't never heard nobody jumping in a window. I've heard him jumping out of a window. Yeah, Judge, none of this makes any sense, man.
That bail reform stuff, it's just absolutely insane. I guess we just don't want people in jail anymore. My God. All right, I guess on to the next, I guess.
Versus Kevin Owens. Defendant is being charged with count 1, assault with intent to murder. Count 2, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder or by strangulation. Count 3, weapons, firearms, possession by felon. Count 4, weapons, ammunition, possession by felon. Count 5, weapons, carrying and concealed. Count 6, assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault. Counts 7 through 11, weapons, felony firearms.
7 through 11.
Habitual offender, second offense notice. Today's the date and time for boundary determination. Appearances, please.
Good morning again, Steve Vincent for the people, P71917.
Your Honor, may it please this most honorable court, Philip Reagan, P57156, on behalf of Mr. Kevin Owens.
Okay.
Kevin Owens, the wrestler? Oh, no. Say it ain't so.
Argument.
Judge, I'm sorry. Did Madam Clerk read off both? She read off both the case, or we also have one case. Judge, Mr. Owens has 2 cases. He has a gun case, FIP, ammunition, felony firearm, and he has an AWIM case. So the AWIM case, Judge, the bond is $250,000 cash. The FIP ammunition, felony firearm case is $100,000 person. Now, I want to just put this stuff in perspective for you, which is kind of interesting. Mr. Owens, Judge, has been in federal custody, and I remember this case from the other day, for the last 30 months. Okay, so he went in, and now we didn't have the paperwork. He has the paperwork with him now that it can verify that he went into the federal system on June the 6th of 2021 and hasn't been released until February 2nd of this year. Now, on May 29th of 2021, that's when he caught the gun case. That case he got $100,000 personal for. He caught that gun case, and he says, yes, I caught that case. The feds immediately picked that case up and took him into federal custody about a week later from 36. They came down, scooped him, boom, went into federal custody, been in West Virginia the last 2 years. It's ironic, Judge, that on August the 21st of 2021, his child's mother makes these allegations against him. She got shot. Oh, he shot me. He did X, Y, Z. And he says he was obviously in federal custody then, Judge. But also what's ironic, it doesn't look like that warrant was even signed until 2 years later in July of 2023, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
What?
So his bond is $250,000 cash. I tend to believe, Judge, and he has the paperwork that he
terrible channel.
Out of federal custody when these allegations were made about.
Boy, if that's the case, if he really is in federal custody, well, there's some accusations about that. You got
So
a good case there.
His ex-wife or girlfriend, whatever, says that he had pew-pewed her back in 2021. It doesn't get signed until 2023. And during that time, he had served 30 months in jail. So this could be a case of mistaken identity. Maybe it wasn't him that shot her.
JG, we know we're making jokes. Whenever we get a chance to, there's only really one channel we ever talk crap about.
And it's okay. It's all in jest and good love.
That's right. Yeah.
Of him doing this stuff. You know, I don't know if there's any independent evidence. You know, she made the statement, hey, it was him. It was at a bar one night. He shot me, regardless.
So nonchalant. That's Detroit for you.
There I was walking along, went to the bar to get a drink. I just put $3 into the jukebox to try and play Freebird. When all of a sudden, bam, I'd been shot. It was him.
Judge, I think the paperwork is gonna be able to show he was in custody and he was not out at that particular time. So I'm asking the court to reduce the bond.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure that she's saying that when it happened was not just when she came to the police and said.
Right. It got filed back in 2021. It just hadn't got signed until 2023. But during the time he wasn't incarcerated.
50,000 personal, Judge. You know, I just think that this is all going to wash itself out, Judge. Once, you know, and again, he's been in custody the last 30 months. He's been in consistent custody, Judge. So, you know, I just think it's going to all play out once we get to the next stage.
Okay, Mr. Vincent.
I hear this one.
We had somebody with the defendant at the time of the shooting who said he was the shooter. She was actually in the vehicle.
Why wasn't it charged to if she said she was in the vehicle and he shot someone? Why would there be a delay of 2 years in charging someone with shooting someone if you have an eyewitness who says I was there and has video and all of this?
Yeah, no, in Judge, we see this happening.
No. Now we see it in domestic violence cases and stolen car. We don't see it in shooting cases that we have an eyewitness. I was with someone who shot someone and there's video of it. And then we wait 2 years to charge them. We don't see that. We don't see that.
Well, Judge, there were a lot of things that this defendant had going on. I mean, I think we have had AWIM cases, with all due respect, Judge, that have taken a while in order to get before the court.
With an eyewitness saying I was with someone who shot someone. We have that, Mr. Vincent.
Cut and dry, right?
We gotta do some
You would think.
work and track down. If a witness walks in and says I was with someone who shot someone, and this is my boyfriend or whatever, those things those are the kind of the easy ones. Those, I mean, if someone's shooting someone, we kind of get them off the street a little bit.
Yeah,
it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, Mr. Prosecutor. I'm just being honest. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
And Judge, you know, I respect you and I respect your opinion.
But Judge Anthony, thank you for the 2 pounds. Great that you enjoy it. We don't hear that very often. So
I really appreciate you saying that. Judge, really giving prosecution something to think about. I mean, prosecution isn't cut and dry. He's got to really dig himself out of this hole that pretty much is in this 30-month hole my man was in.
I understand where the judge is coming from when you've got such what sounds to be almost like an airtight case happening there. A fun fact, last time that I was at a bar and somebody got shot dead in front of it was in Maryland. Doesn't happen very often.
The more you know.
The more you know. I was outside smoking a cigarette at a side bar at the deck and
hit the deck, they said.
Heard it out front, pew pew. Then the car took off, and it was a crime scene. We had to go home. That's pretty interesting. Fun night.
Definitive one way or another. Now, what I can tell you, at the time of the shooting, the defendant allegedly ends up picking up 2 additional cases One of which, and I don't understand the whole 30 months thing, because he was on bond for a different matter, Judge, after this case, two arson charges and 2 weapons felony firearms charges that he actually capiased on in that, but he was at other. And then we have a pending case, Judge, that Mr. Reagan talked about, and the extradition on the other case. Now, Judge.
Okay, I'm gonna break in. Okay, this is not that difficult. If we have paperwork that says he's in West Virginia in federal custody, we should know that he's in federal custody. Either he's in federal custody or he's not. And when did he get federal custody?
That's absolutely correct, Judge. If we have him, if Mr. Reagan has that document that says he was in custody at the time of this incident, yeah, that would I think that may resolve.
Look at this here with the
he's holding up paper.
He's got
now. I mean, he's there now. I mean, so why don't you guys go in the breakout room and figure this out? It's not
wow. He's got the paperwork where he was in jail.
Cellulite, it has everything to do with it. If he's in federal custody, he can't be out pew-pewing people.
You can't be in 2 places at once.
If he's in federal custody, he's not shooting people.
But yet we still have an eyewitness that says they were with him when he did it.
Right. An eyewitness to the crime.
Yeah.
And then waited 2 years to say anything. To do anything about it.
I think the paperwork, I think that's the one thing that everybody's missing a little bit, that the paperwork got started in 2021. It just never anything got done about it until 2023. You know, slow turning wheels of justice every once in a while. Slow.
Donovan, thank you. We'll take that as a W. Gary,
that's a W. Sure.
That's a W also.
I'm gonna go.
And being in federal custody while you supposedly were pew-pewing somebody, that's a W too. As much as it doesn't really sound.
As much as I hate to say it.
But I mean, if we're talking about no, hold on. Y'all, if we're talking about extraditions, we're talking about someone's been in custody for 3 months. Either they have, they haven't. You can't be in 2 places. And when is his out date? Federal custody. When is he coming out?
He was released. You were released just on the 2nd. Is that correct?
He and his client.
Yes, sir.
Where is he now?
He is in Wayne County Jail. They brought him to the county.
Okay. And he got out of the federal custody 3 days ago.
February 2nd. Correct.
Yeah.
Judge, I completely agree. I have an offense date here of August 21st, 2021. If there's something that says he was in West Virginia at that time, absolutely.
You want to breakout room, Judge, real quick?
Full name, sir.
They never come back.
My name is Adam Manley Dunn. How you doing, Judge?
Listen, the dude's got the papers sitting there in jail, so I'll give him that, I guess.
I'd like that some of you alluded to, hey, somebody made a deal. They got arrested and said, hey, remember that shooting of such and such and so and so? I was in the car. It was yada, yada, yada. Maybe that's it. And I know somebody said you smelled a rat. I didn't. I'm pretty sure I smelled a bird.
Well, everybody's heard about the bird.
Just saying.
Zub, thank you, 5 Bones. Appreciate you guys.
Zum.
On to the next here, as we're still visiting Detroit today. Look at that camel. Is that a freebie, you think?
I don't know, but why is the wall bulging?
That's where the water tank is.
Allegedly.
Maybe. They have bad water in Michigan, right?
Mr. Dunn. Mr. Dunn.
Tiny Piggy, the case hasn't even started yet. Dude's already interested.
I like the way you think.
The bulging wall, I guess. Tiny Piggy, thank you for the 5 Bones. Krista, welcome. It almost looks like paper or like
Paper
poster
mache.
board. Paper mache.
I almost wrote Tingy Piggy. Tingy. Piggy.
I'm Magistrate Charter. You're here in a criminal matter. You're a defendant 1 in this case. Case number is 240-55554-01. You have an attorney, sir. Go ahead, counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Brandon Bird on behalf of Adam Dunn. My client waives his right to the formal reading. was a violation of constitutional rights and will stand mute.
Thank you. Not guilty. Court dates are February 13, 2024. It is a probable cause conference followed by preliminary examination, February 20th, 2024. And stand by, Mr. Ira.
Tom Murphy!
Let's see, who's the judge? In this matter. Maybe there's other paperwork.
Judge got a Stanley cup over there? Or?
You know,
Can't
say
tell.
they have yet lead in them, Creed. Wes, be careful. That was released on the Yeti website.
I was just going to say, Yeti were number one for so long.
Stand by, we need to know who the judge is.
When I make a drink,
let's
I
go
need it
forward.
cold 12
Mr.
hours later.
Done. While this case is pending, one is you're not to have contact with complainant Michael Jackson. And
Mike, I thought he was dead.
Michael James Jackson Jr. That means no person-to-person contact, no contact
Wow.
with parties, no phone calls,
MJ.
no text messaging. Here you go. Further, you're not to possess any firearms of any kind. You're not to possess any ammunition of any kind. Do you understand
No
that?
rumors about them.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see what else. Also, you're not to go to the location of 18639 Eileen, City of Detroit. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You need the address? 18639. Okay.
Celebrities today, all celebs.
All right. And the two court dates are in front of Judge
Pew, pew,
Sabri.
say
February
thank
13th
you.
and February 20th in front of Judge Sabri. Understand that, Mr. Dunn?
My God, has he got enough cases?
Okay, let's see. This is from January 17, 2024. I don't have a capious history. Let's see if we have a criminal history. And let's see, CCW, larceny from motor vehicle, felony firearm. Last conviction is 2019, felony firearm. Counsel Coyle, go ahead, Esteban, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The people in this matter are asking for a remand. His last conviction, yes, is a 2019 felony firearm 2 count. He was discharged from parole March 23rd of 22. He also picked up a 2019 domestic violence conviction. The reason we're asking for remand is not only a danger to the community as well as his complaint in this matter, but also a flight risk and a high likelihood of conviction based on the evidence. The facts are that the complainant saw a black Ford Escape following him as the defendant and the other, Mr. Wadhead, came up to the car. He said that the complainant said he knew the defendant as Jeremy's brother. Both men pulled out guns and pointed at the complainant, and the defendant physically fight, and then the defendant is shot multiple times.
Jeez.
The co-defendant yells, "You've got 5 seconds to take off that watch." He gave them the watch and they both fled. The complainant is positively.
Yeah, sweetie. Sorry, that's them, not us.
Yeah, that's the prosecutor's microphone.
Yeah.
It won't last long.
Identified the defendant in a photo show occurring on the 19th of last month. The police did some good police work. They tracked the defendant through his phone at incidents at location where there was a felonious assault with a woman in which he has a child in common, that there was a felonious assault regarding the defendant allegedly pointing a weapon. And on the 23rd of January last month, the officers executed a search warrant at that location. He was not located, the defendant there. They do have his cell phone, they tracked it. They noticed that he was constantly moving locations, which show that it is consistent with somebody hiding out based on their police experience. They also tracked the rental car rented by the woman in which he has a child with, and that they trail him, they find him, they announce there is presence and purpose, they ask him to surrender, and he ran from the police officers at that location, which he claims is his cousin's address in which he was residing at. There were multiple guns recovered from that location. On the 31st of last month, the complainant positively identified the co-defendant also in a photo show. He has also 2 open cases, one for felon in possession CCW felony firearm that occurred back on June 29th of 23, and also a second case of felon in possession CCW felony firearm, which occurred on March 4th of 23. Your Honor, based on the facts of this, he is a danger to the community. He's a danger to the complainant. He's a high risk of flight, and there's a high probability because the complainant knows these men and he's identified.
Is his defense attorney sleeping?
They've tracked that.
I think so. Right.
That Ford escape at 2 different places in which the defendant was at. Remand is required.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you repeat it?
One question. You said he was discharged from parole. What was the underlying conviction?
The felony firearm. He had 2 counts of felony firearm.
Okay.
Dude sounds dangerous for sure if he did any of that stuff.
Yeah, even like 1% of
Mr.
it.
Dunn, you don't have to say anything. Mr. Dunn, you don't have to say anything because everything is being recorded. That's why you have an attorney to represent you. Go ahead, Council Bird.
Yes, Your Honor. Brother Bird, 31-year-old lifelong resident, 5 children, ranging from 13 to
5
21.
children.
Indicates to us that he lives with his mother and brother. Does landscaping and snow removal, but well below the property guidelines. Any amount of bond is going to be difficult.
Hardworking feller, lives with mama, got 5 kids. Sounds
Seasonal
good.
jobs. He works landscaping during the good months and shoveled snow in the snowy months.
That's
so
right,
he's
yeah.
always employed.
Let's hope the mothers of the
5 children
much better than him.
My client to pay. I do understand these are assaultive allegations, Your Honor, but my client looks forward to his day in court. And respectfully, we're going to ask this court potentially for a personal bond. If the court's not inclined to a personal bond,
Ms. K?
then at least a reasonable bond where my client, maybe his family,
5.
come up with the money to help him fight this case out of jail. Pretty sure with these allegations, my client would be willing to wear a tether. He's not trying to run from this matter.
They really gonna give him a bond and let him out of jail.
Parole successfully, so he was successfully discharged from parole, Your Honor, which means that he can stick to a regimen and orders that's given by the court, and that's what we're asking, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'd just like to make the record clear that I'm looking at Otis, and it does show that he has 2 counts of felony firearms, both on different court file numbers from the 3rd Circuit Court. And based on that, there is no real parole because it's a flat 2, as you know. So it just shows that he was discharged from prison after his 2 years.
Well, thank you very much from both sides. I've heard the representations. What I look at is the court is looking at a monetary bond or remand. The court looks at the allegations. Here's the representations from both sides in this particular matter. Mr. Dunn, he has some history with the justice system in this particular matter. The court read the investigator's report in which allegedly the complainant knew Mr. Dunn as somebody's brother. And then 2 individuals pulled out firearms. The co-defendant, Mr. Watts, pointed at the complainant. Mr. Jackson was shot. He was hurt. He had to go to the hospital. And under court rule MCR 6.106, subsection subsection B1B. A person who was charged with criminal sexual conduct 1st degree, armed robbery, kidnapping with intent to extort money or other valuables. If the court finds that proof of the defendant's guilt is evident or the presumption is great, unless the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that the defendant is not likely to present a danger to any person. This court does believe that Mr. Dunn is a danger to society, and we believe that the court does believe that his guilt is great, or presumption, is great. So in this particular matter, he's going to be remanded.
Remanded. Raymanded.
Raymanded.
Termination.
Raymanded. Raymanded.
All right, thank you.
You ain't going nowhere. Have a nice day.
Oh, Chris.
She got that one right. Oh God.
Mr. Livingston, this magistrate in charge there. You're here on a criminal matter. Case number is 2405521-901.
That's right. Last time we were here, everybody was in hoodies. Now it's just her up there.
By the way, look, they've
there it is.
Yeah, they had something they tried to pull off the wall there, maybe.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. So what did they? I think that was poster board then that we saw because they were covering this up or something.
Oh my gosh.
All right, that's kind of funny.
Attorney, go ahead, counsel.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Kashava Kirkland on behalf of Mr. Livingston, who has been advised of his rights, wishes to stand mute and waive the formal reading.
Thank you. I'm going to enter plea of not guilty. Court dates are January 25th, 2024. Probable cause conference, followed by court examination, January 31st, 2024. Both matters are in front of Judge Sabri. Mr. Livingston, while this case is pending, bond conditions, there is no assaultive or combative behavior on your part. You're also not to possess any firearms or other.
Oh, you know what's even worse? So most of the noise, if I'm not mistaken, is coming from here.
Mm-hmm.
And look at even the room has the the pads to damper the sounds. That's how freaking bad it is there.
They're doing their best, I guess. Can we get a nicer place for our public defenders to stay?
For real.
While they're there, everyone looks cold, damp, disgusting. Some would say. Ugh.
And you are not to have any contact with a Jordan court. That means no person-to-person contact, no contact with third parties, no phone calls, no emails, no text messaging. You understand all those bond conditions?
Time, lady.
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, ma'am. I apologize. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't have a case history, but I do have criminal history. Last conviction, 2016, assaulting police officer causing injury. 2015, assaulting police officer.
Oh, he doesn't like the police.
And entering building with intent. I see also that he lives in the metropolitan area. Go ahead, Esteban, counsel, Vincent.
Yeah, Judge, with all due respect, that have notice really doesn't do justice in terms of the criminal history of this defendant. Going as early back as 05 and 07, he had assault and battery juvenile adjudications. He ends up picking up a conviction for a controlled substance in 2010. In 14, it wasn't one B&E that he was convicted for, it was two. In 2015, he had consecutive DVs and DV second convictions. Then in 16, he had not one, but two counts of R&O and one count of A and B that he was convicted of. In 21, he has a refusal to obey police. He also gets a conviction for trespass. He has an ongoing A and B case out of 36th district where there was a bench warrant issued for $30,000 cash or surety on November of 2022. And then we have this defendant who flicked a cigarette at a police officer apparently in his face.
Well, I'm gonna be quiet. He's saying like I did it on purpose or something.
Mr. Livingston, just let me represent you. Don't speak.
Yeah, like I did that on person.
Police end up coming out because the defendant's at a gas station, already been asked to leave. Police come out, give him the opportunity. They say leave. And what does he do? How does he reciprocate that? He says he's not going anywhere. And then what does he do? He takes a cigarette he was smoking and flicks it in a police officer's face.
Okay, thank you.
You're fired.
Go ahead, Counsel Kirkland. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did I
Your
even
Honor,
tell
we're
you what I was asking for?
I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
No, you didn't. Let me just end it by saying, I apologize, Ms. Kirkland. I'm asking for $100,000 cash. I'm also asking for a tether and house arrest as a direct result of the flight, as well as the dangerous component. Ms. Kirkland, I did not mean to interrupt you or Your Honor.
No worries. Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we're asking for a high personal bond with the GPS tether. He is a lifelong resident of the Detroit area. I do understand. It sounds like, I don't know if what we heard were convictions, because I know that 2021 that conviction isn't on here, but it sounds like
he wants to talk.
He does have some misdemeanor issues. We've had conversations with him. Think that there may be some psychological issues as well.
Maybe.
At this point, there's no amount of bond that he can afford to pay. There's no amount of bond that he can afford to pay. So if he's given some type of cash bond, Your Honor, he's essentially going to sit there. In addition to that, he says that he's completed college. Like I said, he's a lifelong resident. So we are asking for a personal bond. I don't believe.
Whoa, did he say
the flight in any?
Did she just say he completed college?
That he can afford to pay.
I'm also asking for
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we're asking for a high personal bond with the GPS tether. He is a lifelong resident of the Detroit area. I do understand. It sounds like I don't know if what we heard were convictions, because I know that 2021 that restriction isn't on here, but it sounds like, I mean, he does have some misdemeanor issues. We've had conversations with him and think that there may be some psychological issues as well. At this point, there's no amount of bond that he can afford to pay. There's no amount of bond that he can afford to pay. So if he's given some type of cash bond, Your Honor, he's essentially going to sit there. In addition to that, he says that he's completed college. Like I said, he's a lifelong resident. So we are asking for a personal bond. I don't believe that he's a risk of flight, and any concern that the court has for dangerousness can be cured with the GPS test.
I'd love to know more about the schooling.
Representations of both sides, this particular matter. And what I see is that Mr. Livingston does.
Is there like a dog or a deer outside?
It doesn't it look, it's like a beautiful scenery right outside the court.
There's no way that
That's
that
like
is,
snow and stuff, right?
Is the huh?
I mean, she's at the court house for sure.
Yeah, so you got this here, and then you got.
It's just a reflection there, probably, but
it really looks like a dog or a fox or something.
I mean, she's scurrying up game. It's beautiful outside there.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, JG. I'm wondering, but if it was you wouldn't have that reflection. She doesn't have that thing in her house.
No, she doesn't. She's not worried about germs in her house. No.
Right. That's what I thought at first. Is it's like that? That is a, the back. But
She loves that cup, by the way.
I see that. It travels with her everywhere.
Appear to have a history of violence, whether it's with the police or third parties. And in this particular matter, part of it, when I'm reading from the investigative report, is that not only does it say that Mr. Livingston flicked his cigarette, let me see, flicked his lit cigarette at Thornton's face, but I'm also reading is that he flicked the cigarette in Officer Thornton's eye.
Whoa. Well, who wrote this report up?
Whoever it is, okay. It appears to show that he doesn't like to follow orders. He doesn't have any respect with law enforcement in this particular matter. Okay. And if he doesn't like something, I'm not sure if it's violence is the only way, but there appears to be some history in this matter. He was told to leave the location. He didn't like it. And at some point, he got into it with a police officer and flicked the cigarette at the police officer's face or his eye. This court does believe that Mr. Livingston is a danger, okay? And the court has to use clear and convincing evidence as a standard. And by looking at the allegations, as well as the allegations in the investigative report and the history and going forward, we don't believe that Mr. Livingston can control his emotions in this particular matter.
It keeps flapping. It's possessed.
So in this particular matter, his bond's going to be $25,000, cash, no surety, no consent. Okay. As to the GPS tether, I don't have any.
Oh, that burns.
That he is light risk.
Bullshit with his big sucking ass, man. This nigga.
Mr. Livingston, please.
Okay. Mr. Livingston, client wants to, doesn't respect the court. I can't make any statements, but we're not going to go with that.
Is he talking about the prosecutor?
I believe he said just called the judge a bitch.
He also called him a D sucking ass.
Yeah.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he's going to get another court date for this Wednesday, January 17th at 9 o'clock in front of Judge McConnell, who's going to look at the bond amount and bond conditions. Thank you, Mr. Livingston. You can step aside.
Thank you. I apologize to both judges, but that nigga retarded.
I apologize to the judge, but the N-word is retarded.
Yeah.
Spicy Creed. What a spicy day in Detroit. I mean,
All right, that was fun.
was it ever?
I like seeing us. We went out with a bang there at the end. He was mad.
He was rowdy, bowdy. I believe it.
I don't understand why he gets so worked up. The process is, you'll have your day in court.
Yeah, but he knows he's not getting out.
Yeah, true.
That's the biggest one. I mean, even though he asked for $100,000 bond, they got the $25,000 bond. So he's probably not going anywhere. He does have a problem with authority, I will say.
No kidding.
I will say that is a correct assumption. So they say. Other correct assumptions. There is a premiere happening. I do apologize for not having a link already up there for it, but there is a premiere happening at 3 p.m. Eastern of a lady who says she can't go to jail, Creed, because one, she has a bunch of medical issues, and two, she's on the CPAP machine, and they don't allow those in jail.
All right. Well,
it's a great one. It's a cliffhanger. She got bad feet. Bad legs, but chronic drunk driver. Fourth offense.
See at 4:05 for We Got a Chase. Wild with today is Wild Worm and Wednesday.
It's gonna get cray up in there.
Cray. Waiting for the train to come back through the station, and I'm gonna thank everybody. I could do it backwards someday.
Reverse train. Run that train on them, Creed.
The D-Rock Express. Flush, thank you. First and foremost, so quickly. Look at you. Gary, thank you. Donna B, Chris E, Anthony G, Gary G, Tiny Piggy, Pew Pew Sue, and Time Lady. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. I give you one extra. Hallelujah. Why not?
The incredible amount of support you guys are giving us is amazing. We appreciate it. We'd love to have you back. Check out our premiere at 3 p.m. Eastern of a Wild Woman, and that'll roll us right on into, like Creed said, We Got to Chase Wild Woman Wednesday, kicking off at 4:05 or slightly thereafter. Make sure you're there for that. If you want to enjoy all the funs, stay safe, stay hard, stay tuned. And I'm going to play this again because I don't know the next time that we'll do Detroit, so why not? See you next time. Spending all your money you just gave us on royalty to Kiss. Money